All right, here with head women's basketball coach Michelle Bento-Jackson. Coach, successful week, 2-0 in conference, got off to a hot start, couple nail biters there. Talk about opening weekend for conference and the success that your team put on the floor this weekend.
Well, we certainly wanted to take advantage of having our first two conference openers at home in Lumberjack Arena, and obviously we're very happy with the outcome. Yes, they were both nail biters. We feel very fortunate to come out with those two wins, but huge way and just hopefully a confidence booster for us to start conference. And it was definitely helpful that we were in Lumberjack Arena with the fans, and the community support helped out a lot. And now here we are on the road for the next 5 games.
How important are these next 2 games kind of before a multiple week layoff with the holidays?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we leave tomorrow morning on the road for Cal State San Marcos and Sonoma State, and obviously 2 really good teams. I say that I think every week because that's just how our conference is with so much parity, but it's a whole different ball game just going on the road, not only necessarily just playing against top talent teams, but just being on the road, travel, all the adverse things that come with travel and being on the road. So me just trying to keep the girls focused and keep the task at hand. We're also approaching finals week, so just trying to, take one thing at a time. But we want to build off of last week. There's just still so much more room for improvement after these last 2 games. And yes, we're lucky and we're fortunate that we came away with wins. But as we watch film, I think we really learned a lot, that there's a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah, what do you think from these last 2 games that you're really taking away to start implementing in practice? I know you don't now, you're going on the road, but what are 2 things you're really trying to have your team focus on, reflecting on those 2 games?
Well, both games we did have a lead and we lost the lead, but if I had to narrow it down, I would say just understanding clock management, time management, situations, kind of the flow of the game. We had hopefully an educational film session yesterday. We're just understanding how much time is left in a quarter, what's the score, what's our shot selection. So those type of things I've really been emphasizing after these 2 games at home, and I think it's a learning situation for the entire team as a whole.
And I'm guessing the rotation probably looks different now than what you expected going into the season a month or 2 ago. How do you feel like the team has kind of responded to those changes?
Well, obviously a big change has been Amelia Long, and her not being with us for the first, whatever it was, 3 games, and then her just coming in. As a coach, you never know how that's really going to go. Nothing to do with Amelia as a person, but just adding a new player, and I couldn't be more happy with the way it's gone, and not just from the contribution that Amelia is bringing to our team, but just her intensity, her competitiveness on the floor. She's a total joy to coach. And so I think that transition has gone really, really smoothly. And like I said, I'm just really pleased with how the team has done that, how Amelia's handled it, which is not an easy task. And I don't feel like we missed a beat. She jumped right in and we kept going.
Do you feel like the pairing of Long and Kenya, they're both really quick, dynamic, can put pressure on the defense? Those 2 together kind of just really change the dynamic of your guys' offense?
It does. Obviously, like you mentioned, it brings us some speed and some quickness, but it also brings us an additional ball handler / decision maker, which for me as a coach, the more ball handlers, decision makers, I don't really get too wrapped up in positions as far as point guard, off guard. The more ball handlers and decision makers we can have on the floor, I think it's just going to make our offense that much more efficient, and that's what we've been doing.
How much time did you really spend with Amelia before when she joined the team a couple weeks ago? Like, did she spend any time with you guys over the summer? I know she had soccer, of course. Right.
Well, over the summer, we're not permitted to work with our players. That's just an NC2A rule. But even when Amelia first got on campus in August, the initial thought was, we were trying to get some workouts in with her throughout the weeks. But, it's really tough trying to do that when she was a soccer. We wanted to be respectful to that. Soccer had a great season. So to answer your question, before she played that first game at Concordia Irvine, she had practiced 2 days. And that's really the first time she had picked up the ball and really got going. So she's still getting, she would tell you she's rusty. So she's still getting in the flow of things. And, after this week, we have 3 weeks with no games. And that's a time that me as a coach is really looking for our team to improve and get Amelia even more involved with some different concepts that we have. So I'm looking forward to that time.
Yeah, with that big break, kind of how do you keep that game mentality kind of going, that kind of aggression, and keeping it at practice when you know that week as a player you're like, well, I don't have a game at the end of this week. It's not as high pressure. How do you keep that pressure up?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, just as far as keeping the team focused and motivated, each week you're primarily focusing on opponents, and we have this 3 weeks where we don't. But as a coach, I love it because we're going to be doing a lot of skill development. We're going to be implementing new things into our system and continuing to improve on what we've done thus far. And I'm always, worry rat, so I think we're a little bit behind in some areas. And so I'm really looking forward to that time to just clean some stuff up on the court. And we're going to take advantage of that time for sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Coach, I want to ask you about the defense. I feel like just watching the games that there's just a high level of defense this year. Last year I was looking at some numbers here. You guys averaged 7.85 steals per game, and this year you're the top 3 in the conference right now, averaging just under 11 steals per game. I know Amelia averaged 6.5 this past weekend. What has been the difference from this year to last year as far as the defensive presence goes on the court, and what would you say plays a role in that? Is that just
well, actually,
come together? Or?
For me, and as far as what I preach on a day-to-day basis, that's probably the one thing that I'm most pleased with these last 2 wins this weekend was I really thought our defense carried us in both games. They were 2 very, very different games defensively, but I really felt that carried us. And I tell the team all the time, we can't control our offense necessarily as far as the ball going in the basket, and we just didn't play real clean basketball offensively either game. And so I was really happy to see that, I think the way these 2 last games turned out, I think the girls are even more so now slowly buying into the fact that our defense has got to be a constant in order for us to have a chance to win ball games. And so I've been happy with that.
I know it's still very early in the conference schedule, but are you kind of excited to have 2-0 teams face off and see kind of where you guys hang with them?
Regardless of what our records are, San Marcos is a very good basketball team. They are an experienced team. They're always at the top of the conference. So regardless of what their record is, our record is at this point in time, we know we got to bring our A game, and we got to play a lot better basketball to give ourselves a chance to win on Thursday night.
And what do you think are some changes that could be made to kind of make the half-court offense a bit more fluid for you guys?
Well, one, we got to take care of the ball. We got to take care of the ball, and we have to improve upon our shot selection. I think those 2 things, and we just were, and I'll take responsibility for this, we just have to be much more organized on the offensive end. And so those 3 things combined was the result in why our offense wasn't as efficient as it needs to be.
You had an injury on the court Saturday, 23. How is she doing? Is she going to be playing and traveling with you guys this week?
Well, she has yet to see a doctor. Excuse me. So right now it's just been the evaluation, of our athletic trainers.
Okay.
But she is going to need to get into doctor's hands and get an MRI. And unfortunately, it doesn't look good at this time. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, and our heart certainly goes out to JC.
I think we're good.
Cool.
Coach.
Good luck this weekend, Coach, and look forward to talking to you next week.
All right.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks, you guys.
Yep.